Hi, this is Rob. Yeah, this is an update video. So I had a few people. I did a video. Well, it's probably been, well, it's been exactly, anyway, 20 months. So, but I did a video maybe, well, it's been at least a year anyway on a heart ablation. So, just to kind of give you a little bit, I had a couple people on the channel, say, hey, how's it going now? So just recently. And so I'll give you a little background real quick. So it was about 20 months ago, or, even 2 years ago, where I noticed something going on with my heart rhythm. And I think originally my Apple Watch I had bought, which I ended up, I don't use it now, but anyway, it came up and said, hey, you got a heart rate or pulse. Your heart rate is really low, like 50s. And so anyway, maybe it was even lower than that. So I went to the doctor and they put a monitor on me and monitored 10 days. And I had a burden of about 23%. They called it arrhythmia PVCs. So that's versus the AFib, which I didn't have. And the PVC is more or less like, you have a thump, 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 thump. And so it's almost like it's misbeating when, it's almost like you drop beats. And that's kind of why the Apple Watch picked up on that. So they tried a medication, Metoprolol, I think it was. And I think that's supposed to, I don't know if it slowed things down even more. And so I was like, I fell down a couple of times, like, okay. At any rate, they decided to send me to Sacramento, and I had an ablation there. So, and I reported on that. It was a fairly painful process, it seemed like. A lot of other people are in there doing, maybe they're AFib. And I think maybe it has to do exactly where, because they kind of model your heart in a 3D electrical, or, the electrics of your heart. So they're trying to find out what's misbehaving. And so mine was easy, obviously, because it was happening. Some people that have it, that's why they don't do this, I think, unless you really have something going on. Because, if you have it 5% or 3% or even maybe less than 10%, they probably wouldn't bother with it. But because if you're on the table and you're not having the arrhythmia, then they can't fix it. So anyway, there was no issue with mine. It was loud and clear. And it was closer to the esophagus because I had to take like a Prilosec for like a month and an anti-blood clotting thing. But I can say a year after that, so I had my yearly, and I think I might have mentioned this before, and I think it has to do with a lot of different things, but my injection fraction originally, when I went to the cardiologist, they said it was like 45 to 50%, which 55% injection fraction is normal. And 40%, once you get 40% or below, is considered heart failure, congestive heart failure. So, I was a little concerned. I had retired for a couple of years and I felt really great. And then I went back to work for a year. And then, I think it was right during the COVID, and I did do the Johnson & Johnson. I took the shot and one follow-up. And I don't know if I'm not going to say that has one thing or another why this has happened. I think it's very common. At any rate, I decided to start, and I was retired again because it's one of those things, I'm fine. I didn't need to keep working, but, and I wanted to focus on my health. Okay, so started making sure I walked, and there's all these different opinions. I tried to do 10,000 steps a day and just try to keep going, and doing things and working out a little bit, and for the year, and because I was trying to get my weight down. I think at that time, originally, I've been on keto on and off probably for 7-8 years, and I went from 270 all the way down to about 220 and 225, and then I got serious at that point, or started doing more things and looking at what I was doing, and I was down to 190 actually, and then I'm right under 200 right now, 199, 198. So I can get into a different video if people are interested in that, and maybe you can drop a note in there saying, hey, what have you been doing to lose weight? And it's been more keto. I've played with vegetarian as well, because you have to look at all your your markers of your blood, um, and so what I'm getting at is I went in and they said my injection fraction after a year went from 45/50 to 50/55. So it's like that's a good thing. I did a sleep study, and obviously the thinner you are, I think the better you are. But that's really important because cardiologists will look at that, because this stuff takes its toll if you don't get good sleep. So I sleep pretty good. I mean, the sleep study said I didn't have apnea, so I didn't need to get fitted for anything like that. And then make sure, so they went through that, and then all the EKGs from my doctor, especially with the cardiologist, I think I went every 6 months, wasn't showing any, my rhythm was good. It didn't show any arrhythmia. Now I have to say that I have a blood, a pressure checker, a $100 one, $120 one, but prior to my surgery, that thing will measure up to 3 missed beats. And I mean, you can have 10 missed beats, but it only registers up to 3 when you're doing your blood pressure check. And I would regularly see more than 2 or 3. So then after that, after the ablation, and after I healed a few months, I didn't see maybe once in about a year and a half, but I can say that I feel the arrhythmia once in a great while, and usually it's has to do with if you get a lot of stress or something. So if you get stressed on something, or sometimes when I eat, depending on something I eat or after I eat or something, and it's not heavy duty like I've had, but in reality I could still, you notice like thump, 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 and it might go on for a couple minutes or something. If you relax and take it easy, then it's not like it was, because I had a little dizziness. I wouldn't call it dizzy, but anyway, lightheaded maybe is a better word, and I really haven't had that now. I think what I'm getting at is I'm strength, increasing my heart, I think, strength, and being more active, because my job, I'm a civil engineer, so I was at my, and there's different factions of that. When you're in construction, you're up a lot and everything, but in reality I was a project manager in the last few years, and setting a lot, just sitting in front of the computer. And so I have a computer here, and it's kind of hard to do that. I'm going to edit this, and but you got to get up and move, and so and that's what I do now, is I focus on that. So I do hiking, or I do a lot of fly fishing, try to help people out, do things like that. And in my retirement now, I'm 63. So like I said, all is well. I know my neighbor across the street, he's in his 70s, and he's had 2 or 3 of them, over the course of 20 years, ablations. So I know that sometimes they don't take completely, or maybe something heals, or and so it's something that people can go through again. But you can make the surgery. It's fairly common now, and I wouldn't be afraid of it. It's just one of those things that it's a little scary on, when you're dealing with your heart and other things. So, and depending on your parents and how long I've outlived my dad was 72 when he passed away. My mom was a different circumstance, because she ended up with some kind of spinal meningitis, but at any rate, and it was in her 50s. But my family history isn't long lived. So I'm trying to do what I can now, and I'm feeling pretty good. So that's an update right now on the heart arrhythmia. So I appreciate you watching. I have a pretty varied channel. It goes from anywhere from fishing or health stuff like this now, getting diesel out of a car tank after someone's put it in wrong. So if you have different, and my wife's a big Volkswagen, we have Volkswagen stuff, so you'll see Volkswagens on there. So I don't know what everybody has interest in, but I'm kind of multi-purpose. So if you are interested in keto, you read all this stuff. So I've been going down this trail right now, just quickly, this will be it, of when you do the keto, then, I think it's important because you have these metabolic markers. And so if you're overweight or, you have your blood sugar, if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, or so I'm kind of flirting and I'm below. I'm not pre-diabetic, but I'm really close. And I've been close, but I really watch. I don't eat added sugars and all this other stuff. But, you want to improve your markers, I guess. And then you come in and say, well, keto people their cholesterol's higher. Okay, well, what does that really mean? Well, we'll put it on a statin. I go, well, all the vessels in my arteries are actually in good shape. At least the cardiologist said. He said, nah, we don't want to. At first, he's like, yeah, we should do it. And then he looks at everything and I remind him. He said, hey, your veins or arteries look, because I had I had the heart monitor, and when they went inside and they check everything, and actually an angiogram, and he said everything, you look like a young person veins, which I don't know what that means, but anyway, they backed off of that. But I'm looking at the LDL now, so because your regular doctor does a standard lipid panel, and it's just HDL, LDL, and triglycerides, and my HDL and triglycerides, are normal. The ratio is they say triglycerides to HDL should be less than 2 or 3 or whatever, or definitely less than 1.5. I'm like 1.3. But anyway, those are good, but my LDL's high. When I say high, they want below 90. I was around 120, 140, and I've been up to 170. So that's why I was trying to play around with some vegetarian. But there's an advanced lipid panel that I got off some ladies. There's a Own Your Own Labs, which I can recommend. But so I think it was like $80 to have my own. A1C is $10. Basic lipid panels only are all your other, for your liver functions and everything else is like $10 or $15, and then it is like $70 though for the full cholesterol, and they give you the type of pattern of LDLs, the amount of. So if people are interested in that, then I'll do a video on that, and I've been able to keep my weight off. But I do travel, when I do travel, I eat whatever we're going. Just went to the South, did a 2-week trip to, New Orleans and up to Tennessee, for Memphis, and then over to Nashville. That was fun, and there's a lot of Southern food. So at any rate, yeah, if you're interested in that, let me know. All right, thanks. Have a good day, and appreciate your time. Okay, bye.